Good morning, God. I just about got caught out then. Golly gosh. I was busy just saying good morning, everyone, on our social media. So if you are watching on YouTube or on Facebook or on Instagram or on X or on LinkedIn, that's the other one, or on YouTube, good morning to you. It is Friday morning and this is Daybreak. Yes, good morning to you. It's Friday morning, which is always a good day of the week, heading into the weekend, into the school holidays, though. So I think, a few kids might be upset about that. A few teachers might be upset, but some parents might have got through the 2 weeks and are ready to catch that school bus on Monday morning. So start of term 3. Wow, where has the year gone? All right, let's get through and last minute. As you can see, slightly disorganised because just organising some of the stories for this morning, hot off the press. Latest poll out, political poll. And look, as you can see on that graph there, this is the Courier poll. The big mover is New Zealand First. And that's that line down the bottom there, which it's a little bit hard to see. Apologies for that. But it's the line that is now the third highest. New Zealand First has jumped over ACT and the Greens and Te Pāti Māori, and with the third most popular party, which I think is possibly the first time for a while. If you look at the basically combinations of ACT New Zealand First National, which is that blue line, and Labour, Te Pāti Māori and the Greens, which is the red line, you'll see that the centre right has actually increased and the centre left has decreased. Now, to be honest, that's pretty stunning, because if you believe the media narrative and all the noise around what the government is doing wrong, this poll seems to go totally against that. And in fact, it's Labour, Te Pāti Māori and the Greens who are being punished. In terms of who we want as Prime Minister, still level pegging between the blue, which is Christopher Luxon, and red, which is Chris Hipkins. Winston's had a little bit of a rise in the polls, but then again, so is Chloe Schwalbrick as well in the Greens. She's risen above David Seymour. So that is very interesting. Now, New Zealand First has always been, we don't follow the polls. There's only one poll. It's on election day. But I am sure that they were crowing last night about this poll. And you've got to ask yourself, what is it about New Zealand First that is getting increased support? And we've covered some of them. It's some of their anti-woke policies, defining what a woman is. They brought out that bill recently about cash, not getting rid of cash, which a lot of people will have supported, getting rid of DEI, getting rid of woke flags. So they're already in campaign mode. And I always think that Winston Peters is the ultimate operator. When he picked which half of the electoral cycle he would be Deputy Prime Minister with David Seymour, he picked the first 18 months. And that was, as I said at the time, was very clever, because now he is free of the shackles of having to act deputy prime ministerial, and he can campaign for the next 18 months. So watch this space. It's going to be interesting to watch. Media are back on the school lunches. Yep, they want to attack the school lunches, but they can't attack the food, and they can't attack the delivery because it's all going so well. So what are they attacking? Oh, it's what's happening to the trays, the leftover trays. So they're all worried about the environment and the recycling. Not on recycling of everything in schools, and not on recycling in the community, and the fact that apparently we use these red top and yellow top bins, but half the time it's never actually recycled by the local councils. No, they're just worried about these aluminium dishes from school lunches. So the media don't give up on the old lunch thing. And I think it's just because David Seymour was the one that introduced it, and it was a centre-right government. This ad, have you seen this ad? It's the lotto ad. And at the very end of it, it shows a guy with a naked bottom skiing, celebrating the fact that he's won lotto. Now, whatever your thoughts are on lotto, interested to know whether you think that a naked bottom is offensive. Apparently, it's had the most complaints to the Advertising Standards Authority. And yeah, I'm just interested to know whether you think that is offensive. I guess, is it because it's a guy? If it was a woman, we would say it is. But because it's a guy and it's kind of a fun ad, kind of wacky out there, it's not. So yeah, I'm putting this one on you. Do you think that ad is offensive, irrespective of what it's advertising in the gambling side of things? Radio New Zealand is in a whole lot of trouble. They're the national broadcaster, and remember that you as the taxpayer pay for Radio New Zealand, 66.6 million. I haven't made that figure up. 666, yes. The government funded 66.6 million to Radio New Zealand, and I think, did they decrease it in the budget just gone? But those red bars are the listening audience to Radio New Zealand. I don't know if you've ever listened. The only reason I would listen, is because they talk so posh, and it's a little bit like the BBC. And so you listen just to hear that accent. So they're very formal and very posh, but they've lost their way. They once led the market, and they are now 8th. Radio News Talk ZB, which is the blue there, they're number 1. And then there's 6 music stations before you get to Radio New Zealand. So Radio New Zealand are in a whole lot of trouble. And my argument is that the taxpayer should not be funding media at all. Shouldn't be doing Radio New Zealand, shouldn't be doing TVNZ. Let them survive in the market on their merits. If they're any good, they'll attract advertisers and they'll survive, just like News Talk ZB and just like other stations stuff as well. So yeah, watch the space with Radio New Zealand. They really are under the pump. The other discussion is around AI, and there's concern about AI being used for cheating. 876 exam breaches last year from schools. That's a 250% increase on 5 years ago. And I would say, what is it? It's about 80 to 85% of them are proved true, but 59 of them were linked to AI use, and that is increasing. And the principal of Mount Albert Grammar said that AI models are improving every month and schools are struggling to keep up. Teachers had studied traditional teaching techniques and now needed expert guidance on how to protect assessment integrity and fairness in the new age. If you are a teacher, I'm sure that's an issue. AI can be very helpful for class preparation, etc., and resources, but how much is too much, and are you concerned with what kids, how they can use it, students can use it? And the principal said, you think you can set up a policy around AI, but it's gone by lunchtime. So AI is the new challenge, not only in schools, but also in the community. In fact, I saw that a lot of bookstores are refusing to stock or sell books that are written by AI. The National Booksellers Aotearoa New Zealand Association said that bookstores are focused on selling human-written books. Those where AI had only been used for grammar, spell checking, and research were okay, but they're not going to publish ones that are written by artificial intelligence. But they're relying on publishers to ensure that they don't end up on the shelves. Now, look, confession, family first, we do use AI, but not to generate our content, not to give us ideas. We just use AI to actually sum up what a program has covered. So today, after this program, we will use AI just to draw up a summary of what we've talked about this morning. It's a very nice feature, but it's not generating new work. It's not giving us ideas. It's just basically a scripting. That's what we use it for, so that people can read our material if they want to, but not for generating. Definitely not for generating. We wouldn't do that. We've got a policy that we won't use AI for actually generating content. I was interested to see this one though. Can ChatGPT interpret speaking in tongues? Apparently, some influencer, I don't know, I've never heard of them, but they were recently accused of fabricating prophecies in his ministry, a guy called Sean Boltz. But he recently shared that it appears that ChatGPT can translate speaking in tongues, also known as glossolalia. So, I would take that with a grain of salt because remember, AI is purely the ideas of people, and it's just a amazing Google service that can collate all these ideas. But speaking in tongues is via the Holy Spirit, and ChatGPT and AI cannot access the Holy Spirit. So keep that in mind when you see anything around that area. Just on the Christian theme in the UK, they've recently voted radical laws around abortion and euthanasia. Euthanasia is still to be confirmed. But Christians in Parliament, this is from Christian Concern, which is a very good organisation in the UK. Our accountant's son actually works for Christian Concern. But Christians in Parliament held their national parliamentary prayer breakfast. And one of the persons that they asked to lead in prayer was a Liberal Democrat MP. She had just voted for abortion decriminalisation and assisted suicide, euthanasia. She says she's a professing Christian, but she also supports the LGBTQ plus agenda, so radical sexuality and gender identity theory, and promotes her local pride in the area where she is based. And she was leading the prayer. And Christian Concern said, yeah, probably not the leader you want praying at a prayer breakfast for MPs when they have that type of voting record. She sounds confused. Also, this one, the Presbyterian Church in the US, they have released a resource aimed at combating white Christian nationalism. Oh, yes, apparently that Christian nationalism is only white people. Apparently. I mean, I've actually shown videos of many black churches and many multicultural churches praying for Kamala Harris during the recent presidential election and saying that she was the answer to the nation. So this kind of what they call nationalism goes on both sides. How do they define it? How does the Presbyterian Church in the US define Christian nationalism? They say they believe that America is divinely chosen or specially blessed by God. Well, the fact of the matter is I hang around a lot of Americans and they do believe that America has a special place. That's okay. They can believe that. We believe that God defends New Zealand. It's kind of just like a just proud nationalism that they have. They believe that US laws and policies should reflect Christian beliefs, often from a conservative evangelical perspective, which is AKA they mean biblically based. Now, if you went to Tonga, you would find a similar viewpoint. And a lot of Christian nations based on Judeo-Christian values would say, yes, our laws should reflect Ten Commandments and biblical things. Christianity should have a privileged place in public life. Well, I think that's basically saying that it shouldn't be downtrodden or treated as hate speech, which in a lot of Christian countries now, it is that hostile. And Christian nationalism, they say the founding fathers intended for the US to be explicitly Christian in governance. Well, for countries that are founded in Judeo-Christian values, that's probably correct. I mean, read that for a Muslim country. They would say, they would agree with all those principles, except they would be saying it from a Muslim perspective. But anyway, the Presbyterian Church is very concerned about white Christian nationalism. Maybe it's just time to get back to what Scripture says about we are all one. The EU has published a report basically slamming Christianity as well. Surprise, surprise. And they want to diminish the influence of Christians. It's the European Parliamentary Forum for Sexual and Reproductive Rights, which is another word for an EU group for radical sexuality and abortion. And they've published a report claiming that Europe is suffering from a rise in religious anti-feminist groups. In other words, groups that believe that you are born a woman and only a woman can be a woman and only a woman can give birth. The report was funded by none other than Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and George Soros. Yeah, the usual crooks. And the Hungarian commissioner, and as you know, Hungary is pushing back, along with Italy and a number of other countries now, against the EU radicalism, said she described it as an openly anti-Christian piece of work and was just basically ramming down radical sexuality and gender theory. What else did I have? We're sort of traveling around the world here and just looking at sort of mission drift amongst Christian organizations. Baylor University, I don't know if you've heard of that one, but they accepted a grant from an LGBT group, large grant, which was all about promoting the LGBT message. And one of the professors pushed back and he said, look, it's just a far-right media attack that we can't take this money. It's Baylor University is a Baptist run or affiliated with the Baptist denomination. But one of the professors there, a Baylor University professor who teaches theology, claimed that conservative media have been attacking him for obeying Jesus by affirming homosexuality and transgenderism. Not only that, he also affirms Black Lives Matter as well. Very big into that. Anyway, the latest I saw just this morning, the breaking news was that Baylor University have decided to return the grant. The only problem is that previously it seems like they may have taken some funding and there is a very strong LGBT component at the university. So yeah, Baylor University, it's a reminder that for all Bible colleges these days, you need to check the DNA and have they mission drifted away from biblical authority. Very important. On Wednesday morning, I talked about Nigel Farage saying that he didn't support same-sex marriage, and I talked about the fact that it was a bit of a tipping point that he had the freedom to do that. Nigel Farage is a bit like Winston Peters and Donald Trump, but Nigel Farage is doing very well in the polls. In fact, he's outpolling the current government. And if an election was held in the UK today, it's quite possible that Nigel Farage could be the Prime Minister. So things are really being upended in the UK. But I looked back and I found this article. This is 2013. And Nigel Farage refused to say, I do to same-sex marriage, but he refused to say, I don't either. He basically cowered away from it and didn't want to talk. And he said it was because he didn't want to upset some constituents. But as I said, the tipping point is now that we're starting to have the freedom to express our opinion without being cancelled and without being thrown off social media like Facebook and X, and without the media witch hunt. Well, maybe there would still be some media witch hunt. And here he says just last week, same-sex marriage law is a mistake. So yeah, some interesting developments around that. All right. Let's just check McBlog. I've just been profiling the speakers that we have for the forum coming up at the end of next month. And I covered Kirralie Smith from Australia, who's been speaking up against dudes playing in women's sports teams. She's been very brave, but she's been taken to court because of it. And also Dawn Hawkins from Nkosi, which is the lead group against pornography, Pornhub, prostitution in the US. And today, a bit of a profile on Dr. Miriam Grossman, who has written a lot around the whole gender ideology, was on that program, What is a Woman? Remember the What is a Woman program or documentary by Daily Wire. And also a very short message from Israel and Maria Folau. Now, we were hoping they could come over. They were hoping they could, but Israel has rugby commitments in Japan, so we're going to pre-record a interview with them, which we will share. So it'll be the first time that we hear their story away from the hostile media's interpretation of what actually went down for Israel and Maria Folau, and I think you'll be really encouraged by what you hear. So go to forumonthefamily.nz, forumonthefamily.nz. And just one other thing, don't forget you can read our content. We're doing a lot more written comment, and as I say, we're using a program called Descript, which analyzes what we've said, or summarizes what we've said, so you can read our program if you don't have time to watch it. And also, if you're driving and you want to listen, or you're doing work around the place and you want to listen, we are on Spotify as well. And note down the bottom there, no paywall. There is no paywall on Family First material, thanks to our awesome supporters and families throughout the country who support us so faithfully. And maybe you're one of them. We're really grateful. And for that reason, we don't need a paywall. All right. I can see your comments have been coming through thick and fast. Let me just check. Peter says New Zealand First didn't sell out like National or ACT, so that's why they're doing very well. Jackie says, talk about desperate mainstream media. I think that's around the school lunches. Peter says, how's the recycling lithium batteries from electric cars going? Quite true. Patricia says, why don't media do something useful about their recycling issues? Recycling members. You guys have got a very good sense of humor this morning. It must be because of Friday. Jackie says, I love that Lotto ad. I didn't find it offensive. And yeah, a few of you are saying about the fact that we shouldn't be advertising medication on TV. Apparently, we're the only country, apart from the US, who allows pharmaceutical advertising. And I think, yeah, that's bad because people are self-medicating, self-diagnosing. Where else? Gosh, so many comments here. I'm not smart like Simon, so I can't sort of process everything. Catherine Symes says Bill and Melinda. That's Bill and Melinda Gates. So the Gates Foundation promote abortion, very radical, similar to George Soros, who's a left-wing, has funded a lot of left-wing radicalism all around the world. Interestingly, George Soros is Hungarian, and Hungary is one of those areas that is pushing back against the wokeness. Sue says AI has to have a database and they take authors' intellectual property to train AI. It's an issue for our publishing industry, and Sue's in the publishing industry. And yeah, there we go. Okay, right, I'm out of time. Thank you for watching. We will be back Monday morning, 7:30, and also we've got Straight Talk on Monday night as well. I forgot to load the images of who's on Monday night, so that will be a surprise. I'll tell you on Monday morning. Anyway, you have a great weekend, and we will see you Monday morning. Thanks for watching.